Hi guys, we'll just take another couple of minutes before everyone joins in. So before we begin today, any doubts, any clarifications that you want about any of the subjects that we've covered so far? Alright, guys, so we've had quite a gap between our last session and this one. Just in case if you have any doubts or any issues, feel free to stop me. But today's session, what we are trying to cover is go through a few domains and understand the basics of each of these domains. This will no ways make you an expert in any of these domains, but it would give you pointers in direction of what is what in terms of the specifics of a domain. Now, like I always say, why do you need domain knowledge when at the end of the day I am going to be talking to the subject matter expert and get all the information? Why can't I just go ahead and ask him the questions that are necessary and gather the information from him rather than worry about how I'm going to take care of this and finalize it from there? You need domains because you need to understand at least the basic concepts that you're going to talk about eventually when you land in that specific project, right? A lot of applications or a lot of positions will require you to have that knowledge upfront before you get into a situation where you are able to acquire that job. So the interview process itself would require you to know something about the domain before they're going to be interested in getting you on board. So let's talk about healthcare first. Before I jump into any of these domains, you have to do some research at your end. Okay, you have to figure out what is the area within which I want to find a job in. Can everybody hear me? You guys can chat if you can't talk. Can everybody hear me? Alright, great. So, before you decide which domain to spend your time with, you need to do some research. Okay, how do you decide? No, Vasudha, I cannot hear you. How do you decide which domain is good for you or not? So, the best way is to go on a site like Dice or Monster or Indeed. These are all IT based job sites. Okay, these are things that, yeah, now I can hear you, Vasudha.
Yeah, sorry, but previous class, I was just going through the recording and I got a doubt regarding the master table you were mentioning.
Master table?
Yes,
Okay, what about it?
you were just Googling and then you specified it as a master table. So, can you tell me what is a master table? Does the master table hold all the keys?
No, so it's like this. It's not, see, master table is not a thing that is actually named. What I was trying to get at was a table that becomes like the central hub where all these subsidiary tables are attached with it, where the master table by itself does not have any data. It has links to various important aspects of data. So let's say if I have employee table, the employee table will have connection to employee details, salary details, position details, department details, let's say employee benefits details, blah blah blah. All these tables will have the actual information, and in my employee table all I will have is the foreign keys that would get connected to the primary keys of these various subsidiary tables.
Okay, so you mean to say the columns in the master table are all of the columns are one way interlinked to the other tables, and it is going to be a foreign key in this master table, right?
Correct.
Okay. So it doesn't have any column of its own
It may,
other than
not
other than
necessary.
the primary key.
there is no rule that says that I cannot have any column of my own. It may, because I will at least have one primary key for my own table, right?
Right. Yeah. That is
So
mandatory. The primary key. The rest of the columns would be foreign keys, which it got integrated with the other tables. That is a primary key.
right, majority of them.
Okay.
I cannot say that none of the other columns would be needed or does not exist.
Okay.
Okay,
The minimum would be.
these the primary key and the foreign keys whereby it is connected to all these tables. So a lot depends on the structure of the database that you have created. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you as a business analyst, Vasudha, are not going to be worried or bothered about what is the structure of the tables or how are they created. You will never be getting involved in creation of the database. Once the database is ready, you probably be a consumer of the information. So you need to understand what information goes where, and if I need some information, where do I go and look for, how do I get that information.
Mm-hmm. So we just need to know the basic queries to execute as and when required.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So what I was trying to get at was, each one of you has to go through these sites. Okay, decide based on your location or where you are based out of or where you are looking for a job. If you are open for relocation, then it's not a big deal, because then it totally depends on your likelihood of where or what type of domain you want to get into. But some people have restrictions, right? Let's say if I want a job only in Virginia. If I want a job in Virginia, there are only 3 or 4 healthcare companies. So although this domain is very hot, in Virginia it is not a good idea. The closest for healthcare is going to be Baltimore. Okay, Baltimore is about 50 to 60 miles from Virginia, depending on where you start from. So unless you are willing to make that commute, healthcare is not a very good idea to associate yourself with, depending on where you are. So hence, do your homework in terms of where are you willing to travel to, so you could get into the situation where the domain that you are picking up is something that is going to help you and not something that becomes a handicap. If you're in Virginia, you want to understand mortgage better, finance, banking, and government based projects, because federal and state governments have a lot of projects in this area, right? That way you are targeting the specific industry. It's like this, that just because you are in love with healthcare or you understand healthcare doesn't mean that you are always going to get a job. You have to adapt to the situation and scenario and make sure that you are able to take care of what is required. Having said that, it doesn't mean that you will never get a job in healthcare. It's just that uh, how we are going to take care of the fundamentals. So, Vasta Bay Area is like a mixed bag. It has a lot of IT companies, okay, that are in product development. So it's a different kind of arena where you have companies, all kinds of companies that are working towards product development. A lot of startup environment exists over there. Companies that are creating products for different domains. So I would not be averse to specializing in any specific domain. Like I said, go to DICE and find for yourself what are the companies that are hiring. Although I'm saying there are a lot of startups, hey, startups have seasons or they're very seasonal, that suddenly there will be a huge amount of investment that came in and 100 startups start hiring. At the same time, when the investment dries up, you have a dearth or lots of layoffs and people are suddenly in the job market again and are competing with the same positions that you're looking for. So it totally depends. So just so you know, if you go down south, you have a lot of media companies, you have a lot of health insurance over there as well. Kaiser Permanente is based in LA area, and so on and so forth. You just moved to Bay Area, amazing. I've just been there once for a couple of days in Bay Area. I was in Berkeley, very close to University
Oh,
of Berkeley. Berkeley,
mhm.
Fremont, that area.
Oh,
Sunnyvale,
okay.
that's what it's
Right.
called, right? Desi Market is based out of Sunnyvale.
Yeah, yeah. It's we live near to Sunnyvale and Cupertino, so
Yeah, I know that area. If you go a little south, it's San Jose.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're in the heart of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I actually got a job offer from Apple to come and work for their Apple organization, whatnot. But
Mhm.
I was already settled over here in Virginia, and I did not want to move just because of the brand name. I have heard the horror stories of people in Apple that you work like a dog over there. Like they expect you to put in 12, 14, 16 hours a day to get your job done. And although that brand name would have added a lot of value on my resume, but I was like, just another day, right? Who wants to go to
Yeah.
Apple?
Right across the Apple spaceship, so
Right. And that was when Steve Jobs was alive, and Steve Jobs, brutal
okay.
dictator. That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
All right, enough said. So, healthcare domain. For people that are interested in understanding healthcare domain, there are two types of industries within healthcare domain. One is your payer market, the other one is your provider market. Okay, when you talk about payers, all your insurance companies are all your payers. So when you say Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Kaiser Permanente, and those kind of names, all those are payers. uh, this is a specific niche that you would be taking care of if, let's say, you go down the payer market. So let's say if you say that, hey, I'm experienced in healthcare, that's not enough. You have to specifically mention what part of healthcare are you experienced working with, the payer side, provider side, both of them. What is the specifics based on which you're saying that you're an expert or experience in the healthcare market. We'll go through. There are different types of payers. You have the government and you have the private payers. We would go through the differences. When you're talking about the provider, as the name suggests, it is the one that actually provides you the healthcare services. So you have the doctors, you have the hospitals, you have the long-term care facilities, and so on. There are a lot of projects over there as well. As you know, insurance companies cannot survive without IT, right? Their billing, their enrollment, their verifications, everything is IT based. So everything requires IT people to run their projects. It is one of the most wealthiest domains. Okay, United Health Group, one company that has an office in Minnesota. United Health Group is one of the richest companies, probably Fortune 50 or even bigger than Fortune 50 companies. Over $180 billion in revenue in a year just by that one company. Majority of the companies are similar in size. You name BCBS, you name Kaiser Permanente, Aetna, all these companies are 100 plus $1 billion companies. So there are tons of projects with these companies where they're continuously trying to keep up with different uh, needs that arise because of regulatory changes, need that arise because of competition that is coming up with newer and better products, services that are attracting more business and taking care of fundamentals and functionality from them. It is a very highly regulated environment where there are lots of rules and regulations for everything that they do. Every state has a governing agency that takes care of how they're going to run the show. So, for their plans that they create, the plan that you get for health insurance, every plan has to go through a verification and audit process that they have to get a certification for. If they don't have certification, the plan cannot be sold to general public. So It is imperative that you are in that boat where you are able to sell that particular functionality. If you don't want to sell, that's a different story. But who wants to create a plan that is not required to be sold, right? Again, in the same way, doctors, hospitals, and long-term care facilities have a lot of infrastructure associated with IT. Everything nowadays has been converted into an electronic format. Gone are those days where the doctors had to physically store your information. Now everybody is extremely mobile. So you need software, you need information by which the amount of data that is available is transferable. Back in the days, 15, 20 years ago, let's say if you have a condition and if you visit a doctor on a regular basis, he would have a physical availability of the data associated with your file. If you are traveling, let's say from Virginia to California, and if you get sick in California, it was very difficult for the doctors to acquire your case file because someone physically had to either mail the information or send it via fax. That would be acquired over there, and it would be full of errors, delays, and something that could cost someone dearly because of the condition that would eventually cost him his life. So a lot of these IT systems are tailored or centered around improving the flow of information across the different doctors and hospitals, and also allow the handshake between the doctors and the, let's say, insurance companies for various reasons, right? So it is always an interaction. As soon as you walk to the doctor, the first thing that they ask for is what's your insurance card. Once you have your insurance card provided, it is not a phone call that the doctor is going to place with the insurance company to check whether your insurance card is valid, not valid, have you paid your premium, not paid your premium, whatnot. It is something that is always going to be associated with an electronic verification that provides you a response in an instance, making the process effortless and possible to take care of many multiple patients without worrying about who and how is the doctor or the hospital going to get paid. Okay, so these systems have been robustly developed over the last couple of decades to make sure that the functioning of healthcare is more towards providing care to the patient rather than worrying about how and who is going to be the person responsible for the financial transactions that are necessary to pay for the services that are going to be taken care of, right? So let's look at what are the different types of payers that are available to us. Now, normally the payer side, there is government payers, and then there are, oops, I don't know what happened. So for the payers, you have the government payers. The three main government paying methodologies are Medicaid, Medicare, and CHIP. Okay, what you want to remember is each of these plans are for a very specific purpose. Okay, you have to remember Medicaid, Medicare, and then CHIP. So what is the main purpose of these functionality? Medicaid is to aid the financially challenged. Medicare is to take care of elderly. So 65 and above are automatically qualified for a CHIP is Child Health Insurance Plan. Child Health Insurance Plan. So this is specifically meant for children. Okay. So these are government plans. These are government based plans that are provided. Now when I say Medicaid and Medicare, you have to remember a couple of things. One, Medicaid. Let me go down and start afresh. Okay, Medicaid is a federally funded program and state run program. What do I mean by this? What is the distinction between federally funded and state run? Anyone knows?
Yeah, basically the funds will be provided from federal to all the people in the country who are low income, so that they can have the privilege of using the hospital facilities or whatever.
So are you saying, let's say Tom is a customer, okay? Tom has low income.
Mhm.
Is the federal government going to pay Tom certain amount of money?
No, no, no. It's going to distribute to all the states, all the organizations of each state, government organizations like HHSC or another kind of organizations in each state. It will distribute the money and it will be properly utilized through the program, Medicaid program. It will be given it will be reached to the poor people.
Good. So it is going to be given to states. So why am I saying state run? What's so special about this part?
So basically, I mean, the federal cannot manage so many people, so it will kind of split the work, or depending on the locality,
Good.
the organization will take care of the people.
Good. So when I say that, what I mean is states will decide who gets aid and who doesn't get aid. Okay?
Yeah, it checks the eligibility first.
Correct. So it checks the eligibility and manages the plan. So let's say at the end of the month, state of Virginia has $100 million. They're going to send an invoice to the feds, and the feds are going to pay them back for the amount of money that was spent on the people that get the Medicaid plan. That's why I say it is a federally funded program. It does not come out of the state income taxes or any taxes. State does not spend a single penny on it. It comes out of whatever funds the federal government has earmarked for all these various states so that they could service their people that are eligible to get the aid. Okay, so let's find out how are they actually deciding on who gets it and who doesn't. Okay, there is a concept called as an FPL, Federal Poverty Level. Every year IRS comes out with the figure of FPL 100 for various family sizes. So let's say every year, sometime in April, they're going to come out with FPL 100 for a family of one is, for example, per annum $14,000. Okay, I'm just giving a random figure. It's a figure that you could easily Google. If you Google and ask Google that, hey, what is the FPL 100 for 2016, it will give you the exact figure. Now, this same FPL 100 for family of two, approximately $4,000, 4,500 is going to be added for every additional family member. So as you go on, it will keep on adding more and more money to it. So if you have a larger family, the FPL 100 for that family will increase significantly. Okay. So now, how does the state decide? The state decides for their cost of living. So let's say California, where the cost of living is very high. This state could say, I will pay or take care of people under Medicaid for people or a family that is under the FPL 350. Anyone on 350 or 350, I will take care of it. Okay. So how do I get to FPL 350? It's very simple cross multiplication, where let's say for a family of one, we said that 100 is 14,000, how much is 350? So you do 350 multiplied by 14,000 divided by 100, and whatever is the answer will be the dollar amount for family of one that would need the salary of blah 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 under it, so that he qualifies for California Medicaid. Let's say take example Alabama, where the cost of living is very low relatively. Same state, instead of 350, it probably will come down to maybe 150. So a person earning say $40,000 in California may qualify for Medicaid, versus a person earning say $25,000 in Alabama may not qualify for Medicaid, because the state decided that my eligibility for Medicaid is different. Okay, and then how do we verify whether you actually have? That's when you actually get in touch with IRS, state tax, state treasury, and use your SSN to get similar information that I would have in my database as IRS or as the state security, to take care of figuring out whether I'm really valid and really eligible for the service that I'm going to get, because it is a huge tax burden. The states don't want to provide it to anybody and everybody. The larger the population that is covered under Medicaid, although the funds are coming from the feds, I still have to manage it, right? I still have to take care of the billing. I still have to take care of a lot of infrastructure needs. The fewer people I provide this service to, the fewer services that I need to take care of and take care of from that particular perspective. So it's a give and take. It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of running around and figuring out what's the best formula based on which I can take care of the functionality from there. Everyone understands this part? What is FPL? How did I come up with FPL 350? What is the difference between family of 1, family of 2, 3, 4, and then it goes on. Sometimes when you have family of say 6, even a 100k family might still qualify for Medicaid from there and take care of it from there. Cool? Okay, awesome. So Medicare is a little easier. You don't have to worry about your income. You don't have to worry about how we are going to take care of the functionality from there. When it comes to Medicare, all I'm worried about is this age factor. As long as you have the age of 65 and above, or you have some disability. If you are disabled in whatever form, whether mobile, I mean you can't walk, you don't have your hands, you don't have your eyes, you don't have your speech, or can't listen, blah blah blah. There are scores of disabilities that are covered under Medicare where the age factor does not matter. So all you need to prove is your age or your specific disability. You automatically qualify for Medicare. Now Medicare is federally funded and federally run. The state cannot say that, hey, you have one leg and two hands, I will not give you Medicare, or you are just 65 years and 1 day old, I will not give you Medicare. The state cannot decide on that. It is a federally funded program. How does the fund come from? If you have worked for in this country, there is a portion of your paycheck that goes into funding the Medicare program. Okay, and they have been taking that out of your paycheck for more than 50 plus years now. They should have had a huge kitty to rely on for all these baby boomers that are now retiring or now getting into the 65 plus range. But eventually they're going to run out of money, because they have used that particular fund to fund various programs, because they assume that the money is going to be unlimited, there is no stoppage. But currently there is more outflow of funds than income that is coming in. So pretty soon they have to take some drastic steps, like increase the age for Medicare, so that they don't have to take care of people that are maybe 70 years old. Probably by the time I reach 65, there might not be any Medicare, although I have paid so much amount of money out of my paycheck to take care of this, right? Okay, regardless, what is CHIP? CHIP is like Medicaid. So let's say, for example, if your FPL is 360, okay, and the qualifying number was 350, so you just missed it. But you have 3 children, and because you just missed it, you have a safety net for your children. So you will not get Medicaid, but your children still qualify for CHIP. So these are special plans for child only, where your children are part and children are able to participate. So these are completely free. You don't have to make a payment. In this case, Medicare, there are parts, okay? Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D, blah blah blah. Part A is the one that is completely free, and Part A is basically hospitalization and emergency services. So you barely get anything. Like if you suddenly get sick, this will take care of it. But for anything else, you still need to pay B, C, or D. Compared to plans that are available outside in the private market, they're still much more cheaper, but you still have to pay some amount of money to make sure that you qualify for Part B, Part C, Part D. Okay? Now, same way for CHIP, there is no money. Now, in CHIP situation, for your children, it's going to be free. But you, let's say if you are a single mom or single father, or let's say you are two parents, you will still be able to or have to buy private insurance. Okay? In case of CHIP or in case of Medicaid, a pregnant woman is also considered as a child till 3 months postpartum. Okay, so let's say if you are pregnant from the initiation of pregnancy on day one till 3 months after you have delivered, it's considered that you are also a child. So you qualify for CHIP if you are pregnant till the point where your child is 3 months old. After that, you as a mother will not qualify in the CHIP, but your child still could continue to enjoy the benefits of child insurance plan. Okay, at any point of time you don't understand anything, please stop me. I have worked in this domain for like last 5+ years, so I can talk about it forever, and I could talk as if you guys know everything about this particular functionality. So if I talk too fast or I'm talking Greek and Latin, don't understand anything, stop me. Alright, so apart from these plans, we also have private health insurance companies. So these are your Aetnas and BCBSs and Kaisers and so on. The base fundamental is that these companies are created or have been in business to provide health insurance for situations where you will get sick and would need health services. Okay, this country, the health system is completely broken in my opinion. This is something that I believe in, because the idea is if you go to a doctor by yourself, okay, this was a situation where I was a contractor. I did not have health insurance by myself because I'm young and I thought that, hey, who needs, I'm never going to be sick and whatnot. So but sometimes you get sick, you go to a doctor, right? The doctor charged me $90 on my own to take care of functionality, and I had to pay like around $30 for whatever antibiotics that I had to get well. Okay, then another year or couple of years later, I had a job that actually gave me health insurance for that same scenario. Okay, I went to the same doctor, but this time the doctor charged the health insurance company $385 for the visit, and he charged $190 for the medication that I paid for. Now, this is not something that he charged me. He charged it to the insurance company, right? But did the insurance company pay it? No, the insurance company paid $40 to the doctor for the $385 bill, and they paid $15 for the medication. I don't know why they charge this kind of money. The idea behind this has become that they understand, that the doctors understand that 90% of the bill is going to get discounted. You probably are going to get only 10% back. So there are always going to be huge rate differentials. Okay, if you go to your doctor where you say that, hey, I'm going to make the payment, he's going to charge you a separate amount of money compared to what he's going to be able to charge the insurance company to take care of the service. Just to give you an example, we got into an accident a couple of years ago. Okay, nothing really happened serious, touch wood. The idea is, during that we got rear-ended, and my wife got into a shock of sorts, like, what the heck happened. It was a major hit. It was not a major hit, but suddenly it happened and she got into a shock. So we ended up going to the ER, emergency room. For 4 hours in the emergency room, they took one X-ray, one MRI. Four doctors came and peeped into a room, asked what's happening. Is it hurt here? Does it hurt there? Yes, no kind of questions for maybe 10-15 minutes each. And then they walked away. For that 4 hour incident, we were sent a bill of $8,000 plus, which is completely ridiculous. If you go through that bill, if the doctor used one pair of gloves, they would charge for the whole box of gloves. If the doctor used one, maybe 6 inches of tape to put across the hand, they would charge you for the whole freaking box. And out of that $8,000, the hospital ended up getting only $600 from the insurance company. So God help America, but that's how the health insurance system is. Don't even ask me about the dental system. It is the biggest sham I have ever seen in terms of how the dental insurance works. That's a story for another day. So what kind of projects actually exist from perspective of the health insurance or the payer side of the market? You have something called as claims. What is a claim? A claim is, let's say, when you go to a doctor, it is called as an encounter. The first time that you visit a doctor or a hospital, regardless, it is called as an encounter. Till the point, whatever processes happened, till the point that you got a discharge, right? Whatever services were rendered, surgeries, medications, therapies, blah blah blah, whatever happened till the point you got discharged, is whatever services you got, the doctor or the hospital is going to file a claim with the insurance company. Because when you had the encounter, you gave them your insurance card. Okay? And then based on that insurance card, he's going to send or submit that insurance claim. So when you make that insurance claim, there is a whole big process surrounding how to process that claim. What information came in, whether the information was right, wrong, incomplete, okay, yes, no, what not, and then till the point where the insurance company actually doles out, pays out the provider for whatever claim was made in terms of taking care of the fundamentals from there. The whole process needs to be managed, right? There are tools like Facets and NASCO that are put in place that are taking care of these particular processes. Facets is a out of the box, completely off the shelf product, COTS. Same thing with NASCO. Facets is more associated with individuals, NASCO is more associated with group. What is the difference? What is an individual? What is a group? Any clue, any idea?
Like for example, if we take PPO kind of insurance, then it would be considered as a group, or through a company, consulting company, that would be a group.
So it's more simpler put together. If you buy an insurance for yourself, it's an individual insurance. It could still be for your whole family, but it's still considered as an individual applicant. Okay. But let's say you're working for Microsoft and Microsoft got you insurance. You got your insurance through your employer. That is a group, because practically it's going to be the whole group is going to be having pretty much similar types of insurance. You might have like two or three different choices based on your economical situation or your financial or your medical needs. You're going to choose one or the other based on the same and take care of it or participate in that specific group. Okay, so all your group claims are going to go through NASCO and all your individual claims are going to go through facets. Okay, so facets is a tool that accepts the claim, validates the claims, processes the claim, and also goes all the way to where it is ready to make the payments and dole out the payments from there. Okay, it starts all the way from where you actually not only just encounter but also from as soon as, let's say, you have enrolled in a specific insurance plan. You can also create the plans, you can also create the benefits. The kind of benefits that each of the plan has is also part of tools like facets. Okay, EDI transaction. What is EDI transactions? Any idea? EDI stands for electronic data interchange. What is EDI transaction? Any clue what is EDI transaction? Okay, let me give you an idea. So let's assume here we have the software system of BCBS. Okay, their base is Java and a bunch of other technologies. Now here is hospital Innova. Okay, these are, I don't know if they are wherever you are, but in Virginia, lots of Innova hospitals. Okay, so let's assume that they are based in .NET technology, and they have other ways in which these technologies are not meant to talk to each other. Now Innova, just because it wants to send an insurance claim to BCBS, Innova cannot expect that they will change their code or application to accept whatever I am going to send. At the same time, just because BCBS needs to make a payment, BCBS does not or cannot expect that the hospitals are going to change their code because I am working in Java and whatnot. For that, a lot of non-profit organizations, one of them HL7, came together and created a common platform. Now this EDI is not associated with healthcare alone. A lot of other industries also use EDI transactions. Like for example, retail. If Walmart wants to buy, let's say, detergent from P&G, Procter and Gamble, it is not going to pick up a phone and call someone in Procter and Gamble sales and say, hey, get me like 1,000 cases of blah 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 detergent. It is again going to create, because Walmart systems could be in Java and Procter and Gamble could have used .NET. Both are big, so both cannot expect. So if you are a small player, let's say someone who's struggling to get into Walmart could easily dictate, buddy, you work based on my systems. If you don't, I don't care. But Procter and Gamble is huge. If PNG decides that hey, I'm not going to sell my products over here, Walmart sales would get impacted, right? Because if the people want to buy their product, they will go to Target, they will go to whatever store is willing to sell their products based on their condition. At the same time, it's going to be similar situation for PNG as well, that hey, their sales will go down because people at Walmart will start thinking, okay, you know what, since PNG product is not there, let me just buy whatever is available, I don't care. So it's a give and take. So they will use again an EDI transaction. What is an EDI transaction? EDI transactions are going to be having special numbers for names. Okay, so for example, in healthcare, there is a concept called 270 responded by 271. What is 270 and what is 271? Let's say you went to Innova, you gave them your card, right? The card had certain information, your name, insurance company name, the product name, the expiry date, and so on. What is a proof that this is a valid insurance card and your services are okay to be provided? There are two ways of doing this, right? I can either pick up the phone, call the 1-800 number, and wait in line till someone comes up and picks up the phone. Ask them that, hey, Akash Dedia has come here. He has XYZ plan with you guys, and his expiry date is XYZ date. Is he a member? This guy is probably going to put that query in the database, he will get some response, and then he is going to provide you the information. Let's say the wait was 10 minutes, and then he took like another 3 minutes or 5 minutes to answer your situation. Per patient, if I'm spending 15 minutes in that, and if I'm a busy dispensary, let's say I'm getting 40 patients in a day, I am looking at around 600 minutes in a day just to validate whether the customer is a valid customer or not. That is 10 hours of one person's time. Or I may hire 5 people, so 2 hours of each one of those 5 resources time. Even if they're paid minimum wage, you're looking at a huge bill just to check that, right? So what is the solution? The solution is you can send the information in 270. 270 is a very structured format which is universal. So 270, regardless of who sends it, whether it's Innova Hospital sending it, whether it's XYZ doctor sending it, whether it is ABC long-term care facility sending it, it is still going to remain consistent. So BCBS can create systems that can hear or understand what 270 is. Okay, so it's like this. Let's say I am in, for example, I'm in US. Okay, and then I'm trying to talk to someone in India. If I send a request in English, I'm able to understand because this is a language that I am able to understand. If I send the same thing in Hindi or one of the hundreds of languages that exist in India, this guy is not going to be able to understand. So it's not going to help the cause in the communication. So same fundamentals over here. Because this is universal, it is able to send it within less than a second. The information would reach there. Now BCBS system is going to be programmed to respond automatically. There is no human intervention over here with the 271. Okay, as soon as the 270 comes in, less than another second, inquiring through the database, it's going to pick up the information and send across a 271. And in the 271, we are going to get yes, give the service, or no, don't give the service. So answer would be. Now this 271 is again going to be something that Innova can read. Yes, someone had a question.
Yeah, technically, what is the terminology you say generally, like 270, 271 number you are specifying? Uh, what do you say? What is the terminology that you use instead of numbers commonly?
EDI transaction.
Okay, so
So
Basically, it will map the 270 from the Innova technology into 271 from the BCBS Java.
correct. So at BCBS side there would be listeners. Okay, listeners would be created, which is nothing but a placeholder. Okay, as soon as this guy sends in a 270, this listener is constantly pinging this system. Every second it's looking, is there a 270, is there a 270, is there a 270, is there a 270, constantly trying to find what exactly is the situation. Okay, as soon as it finds a 270, it is a program that would eventually know, okay, I have to send this information to the database, get some response back, automatically create a response in 271 and send it back. Over here again you will have a similar listener which will be able to open or read this 271 and give me the information in a GUI format. Okay. Similarly, there are other, let's say, transactions as well. Like for example, there is a transaction called 834.
Akash, one second. GAI format is graphical user interface, right?
Correct. So
Then,
basically, see the information that comes in 271, that is highly encrypted and coded. You cannot read it unless you know EDI transaction like the back of your hand. It comes in a very specific format. So I cannot
hmm,
open that 271 and give it to the doctor and expect him to understand. So there would be
okay,
some
okay.
amount of mapping that would have been done, that hey, it came back with a name. So the name has to go in a name field. It came back with the plan name. So plan name has to go in the plan name field. It came back with, okay, it is valid. Okay, so the valid yes no will go into their field. So that
Yeah,
mapping would have been
we'll
created
get.
so that when the
Okay.
doctor or the hospital opens it, they're able to see exactly what we are trying to get at.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so you have to take care of it from there. Now 834, as I said, there are maybe about 20-25 EDI transactions that are associated with healthcare. 834 is for enrollment. Okay, when let's say you have bought a plan, regardless of how you bought it, whether you went to BCBS directly, whether you went to healthcare.gov or whatever website you went to and you bought the plan, the information about your family and dependents is all going to be sent in an 834, so that you as an individual will get created as an account within the health insurance company's systems. Okay, so similarly there is 835, which is sent for your claim. Any claim that you send is going to be sent in an 835. So the list goes on. If you Google healthcare EDI transaction, you will get a bunch of names that are associated that you're going to take care of. So ADI transaction is one thing that you could try and get used to and take care of how it is going to help the common transversal of how the information is going to travel. Okay, let's look at what are the others. This is not easy. I know it's not something that you're used to, but it is something that you probably will have to do a lot of research at your own and take care of it from there. So there are certain rules called HIPAA. Okay, what is HIPAA? HIPAA is a law that was created for privacy of your health information. So you have the right of withholding the information to yourself. No one is allowed to access your health information without your prior permission. Even if you are husband and wife, the husband has the right to hide his health insurance or health related information even from his wife. Okay, so a disclosure of someone's health condition could easily cause a lawsuit because of HIPAA related rules. What used to happen was, if you have certain issues that becomes disclosed to, let's say for example, your employers, right? Let's say you have some condition like blood pressure or anxiety issues. Your employer knows based on the information about your health condition, that hey, you probably might have difficulty in managing stressful situation, and that could cause him to accept or reject your candidature based on your health records, right? That could cause discriminatory instances, which is why a rule was passed which will prevent that disclosure of information unless you have provided prior permission for the information to be shared. Okay, there are certain things called the ICD. ICD is nothing but way of presenting your diagnosis. Okay, now simple things like, let's say you got malaria, right? This, or let's say some very difficult condition that has like a very long uh, Latin based name, for example. If you're sending the insurance claims, and if someone is going to type this whole name, it is prone for errors, highly prone for errors, right? So what they came up with was International Classification of Diseases. Some years back, this was ICD 9, which had, I think, only 5-digit numbers that were allowed, where each number represent one specific disease. Okay, but soon, because of technology kept on improving, there were more and more diseases that they were finding that could be diagnosed. They ran out of these numbers and they started using similar numbers. So let's say if they found 10 new heart conditions and they don't have a new number, they will pick the number that is closest. Let's say 95342 is also similar to the heart condition that we talked about. Okay, so what they would do is they would create versions of this where they would say these 10 conditions are also part of this condition diagnosis itself, which gave you some idea, but it did not give you crystal clear idea, or not one-on-one relation between the diagnosis and the diagnosis code. Now ICD-10 increases the length of these numbers significantly to an extent where there are, I think, about 65% of the numbers are still free. After giving one-on-one relationship, there are still so many numbers that are still available for future diseases that could be found to take care of those kind of functionalities. Okay, so there were a lot of projects that happened in the near past about the transition from ICD-9 to ICD-10. Okay, similarly 5010 and 4010 are versions of your EDI transaction. 4010 version was passed, the latest version is 5010. So a lot of transition projects happened for 4010 to 5010 versions as well. Okay, so these are the basic types of projects that exist in healthcare from payer side. What is the provider side? Why do providers need your information? Yes.
Akash, I have one more doubt. This EDI transactions, is it going to be handled by another separate company, or
So it's like
it
this.
is
If you
in the
are big
architect?
enough where you can manage your EDI transactions yourself, you want to do it yourself. But then again, if you're small, if you're a small, let's say, doctor that has maybe 20, 30 patients a day, you don't want to spend 2, $3 million creating an EDI interface. So what you do
Hmm.
is you take care or find other firms that do the work for you and charge you maybe a per transaction fee, which is not very high because you have low transaction turnover. If you use similar gateway firms for a large hospital, that probably transactions itself would cost you maybe $5-6 million a year, which will not be very helpful. Let's say 10 years down the line, you've spent like 60-70 million dollars on EDI transactions using these gateway companies. You could have spent say $10 million and created your own interface. Why spend 60 million over a period of 10 years, right? So it
Right.
depends. There is no sure answer that I could provide that gives you a clear understanding of the functionality.
Can, can you give me an example of one company that handles the EDI transactions only?
I have no idea. You'll have to Google it. I've never worked for any such company yet.
Okay.
The
Yeah, no
majority,
problem.
see, I have worked for a lot of exchanges, healthcare.gov, discountLink.com, incentive.com. These have their own interfaces that they have created for EDI transaction. So I've never had a chance to work with companies that deal with these kind of transactions. But there are plenty because there are thousands of doctors that don't want to spend $10 million, right? Their probably annual revenue from their dispensary is less than $500,000. How can you justify spending $10 million on a project that will probably break even maybe 20, 30 years down the line by the time you're going to retire,
Hmm.
right? So it's all about numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So, what are the kind of services I spoke?
Akash,
Yes.
what is 5010?
5010 is the version of the EDI transaction.
Okay.
Okay, so 270 that we saw, okay, in 4010 version would have a specific type of data that is coming in. 5010 is the latest version, so they probably have changed a bunch of data elements that are going to be used across. So there is a time element over here. There is usually a deadline by which your systems have to upgrade to 5010 because the federal authorities will make sure that every individual is using 5010 itself. You cannot just keep using 4010 forever. Okay,
Okay.
so it is nothing but a way by which they are managing their versions of which specific version of the EDI transactions are you actually using.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone else?
It is going to be a software only one company EDI transactions that handles, or
So
I'm still not.
EDI transaction is created by a company called, I think, Excel's. What did I say? HL7.
Oh,
It's
okay.
HL7 is a non-profit organization that has created. So they have been created by a standards organization, which is again another non-profit that creates these standards. So you or me cannot create our own EDI transaction number. Hey, I love number 900. Let me occupy that number and create an EDI transaction for providing training. I can't do that unless there is a need that is universal, that is required by multiple organizations. I cannot do that. Okay,
Okay.
awesome. So let's look at how are we going to take care of fundamentals from the uh, the provider side. What are the various aspects? You have EHR and EMR. EHR is electronic health records, EMR is electronic medical records. These are nothing but softwares, just like Facets and NASCO, that make your data available universally. Okay, what I mean by this is, let's say you went into the hospital, they gave you XYZ diagnosis for which you got ABC medication and PQR types of therapies, whatever it is, surgery or rehabilitation, whatnot. There needs to be a universal spot where all the information exists in an electronic format so that you are able to take care of how we are going to finalize the functionality, right? It is mandatory or necessary for you to manage these kind of things. So that, let's say, if you went to a doctor in Virginia and the doctor found out that, hey, you're allergic to penicillin, for example, that information should be available universally. Tomorrow, let's say, if you are in California, you fell sick and you are out, you are not able to talk, you are uh, not conscious, you should have a way by which your information, just based on your name and other details, should be available on the cloud with all the kinds of things that you're allergic to, so that a doctor does not use those medications or therapies that would probably cause you more harm than benefit to take care of it from there. Okay, Epic is one of the tools that is used frequently in the industry. So I personally have never worked on the provider side of the world, but if you are, well versed with something like Epic, it would be a great tool to learn if you have enough hospitals and doctors that are hiring people to take care of things like Epic. Okay, Epic is a COTS product that needs to be implemented. Now when you say implemented, COTS product is very generic in nature, right? But let's say if you have certain business rules and policies that you want the application to follow, you would have to take care of functionality from your end. So you need to know how we are going to take care of it and finalize it from there. Okay, so it's something that is important from that particular perspective. So apart from payer and provider world, there are other aspects that you need to understand. What is PPACA? Anybody knows? What is PPACA? It stands for Patient Protection Affordability Care Act. It is also,
Akash, Akash, I still have a question. Can you go up regarding the provider?
yeah, tell me.
So what you mean to say here in provider, the information EHR and EMR, so the providers would be having the information of each individual just in case required they can access.
Correct.
Okay, and this Epic is different. It's a COTS product. I mean, it's a COTS software that I
So
understood.
EHR and EMR is the name of the type of product. There are multiple EHRs and multiple EMRs. Different companies have created their own solution. Epic is one of them.
Oh, it's an example of one of the EHR or EMR.
Correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. So let's say claims management tool. I said Facets and NASCO are the tools. Claims management tool is the family, and then Facets is one of the member of that family where it can take care of management of claims for individuals. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. So PPACA is also in media known as Obamacare, right? In 2010, he signed a rule making it mandatory for individuals to have health insurance. Whether you get it through your employer, whether you buy it yourself, you have insurance. It is also the mother based on which health insurance exchange got born, HIX. So HIX is nothing but a platform or a portal managed by the governing agency. So in healthcare.gov, CMS is the agency that is manning it to allow the sales of plans, health insurance plans. Okay, so it's a singular location. I go to healthcare.gov based on my zip code. They will show me all the plans that are available that I could possibly want to go through and purchase in terms of how I could take care of the functionality from there. Okay, now apart from the uh, health insurance exchange, there are a few concepts. So we talked about Medicaid, right? Let's say if you did not qualify for Medicaid, and I say that you are supposed to make it mandatory. Okay, you just missed it. So let's say instead of 350, which is the base platform, you are at 360 FPL. You don't qualify for Medicaid. What the heck do I do now? I don't make enough money. 360 is still maybe say 45k per annum. That's not enough to buy an insurance plan that's going to cost me say $250 per month, which is going to be almost $3,000 of my income going towards taking care of my just health insurance plan. What about my food? What about my rent? All those. So people will still not buy health insurance if they cannot afford it. To make it affordable, they introduce concepts like APTC and CSR. APTC is Advance Premium Tax Credit. Okay, Advance Premium Tax Credit. So what it does is, okay, you have to buy, one second. Say you have to buy, say, $250 per month plan, but you can't afford it. So what they do is, based on where you are, so 350 was where you disqualified, but you are in 360. Between 350 and let's say around, say, 700, there would be a scale where you would still qualify for APTC. If you are over here more closer towards the Medicaid, you probably would get like an 80% discount. If you are here more towards the edge, maybe you would get like a 20% discount. So out of the $250, if I am at 360, I would get an 80% discount as premium tax credits. Okay, so let's say $200 comes back to me as premium tax credit every month. So it's either I pay 250 to the insurance company and the federal government sends me a check of 200, or I pay $50 to the insurance company and federal government pays $200 to the insurance company. Okay, that's something that I get as APTC discount. CSR is cost sharing reduction. What is cost sharing reduction? So let me just clear out some of the stuff. It's the same scale that decides how much cost sharing reduction you get. In spite of the premium, you probably will have, let's say, a deductible, or you have something that you have to pay to the doctor as soon as you visit, right, as part of your minimum that you have to pay. Now this, if you have a sick child and if you have to visit 3 or 4 times to a doctor in a week, will add up really quickly. So CSR is a percentage reduction in this amount that you have to pay out as out of pocket expense when you visit to a doctor. Okay, so CSR is again a percentage where you get a discount for this particular amount of payment that you have to make, not for premium, but to this payout that is necessary from your side in terms of taking care of functionality from there. Okay, so what kind of projects or what kind of things that we worked on when we were working for healthcare.gov? We had a lot of projects associated with income verification, whether we are verifying it against IRS or state treasury or any other third party database that has the information. I cannot take your word for it, right? You could tell me that I make $5,000 a year, whereas you could have an income maybe of $100,000 a year. How do I verify? I cannot trust your word for it. I have to get it verified by a third party agency. I don't have the data, but there are multiple agencies that have the data. So we use this service oriented architecture where I created a service. As soon as you give me that, hey, my income is 5K, I create a package of other information associated with it, like your SSN, your family size, where do you live, whatever is required by the third party agency to verify whether you actually make $5,000 a year or not. So these would allow IRS to pull out your annual income that you filed last year. Okay, based on that, it is going to give me, okay, it matched or no, it did not match. It matched, great, I'll give you whatever you qualify for. If it did not match, I will not give you whatever you qualified for. So we did a lot of web services. Okay, web service is nothing but a way by which you have to provide something as an output to a third party system. So let's say I have HIX, which is in my control, but HIX needs information from, let's say, SSA, Social Services Administration, which is not in my control. So Social Services Administration to provide data of your SSN, whether your SSN is the correct one and has the same name or not, would need A, B, C, D, four things. So I have to create a request that has to go in the same format that they want it in, and then they will be generating a response, hopefully in the same format that you can accept, or you will have to create some modification to accept the response, modify it yourself, and take care of the functionality. So web service is normally written using XML, extended markup language, which is a universal language. It doesn't matter whether I am in Java or they are in .NET. I can still transfer information and communicate with each other. Okay, so that's how web services work. You have something called as SOAP UI that we use extensively. What is SOAP UI? So SOAP UI is a functionality where, let's say, I created a lot of business rules in the backend, but I don't have a UI to test it. I've not created the web page, I've not created any ways by which I can accept information or give out information. So what do I do? How do I actually go ahead and test it? Because I can't wait 6 months for the UI to be up, I need to test it right now. So SOAP UI is a way by which testing can occur without the presence of the regular user interface that is eventually going to be created. I don't have to wait for the user interface to be in picture or user interface to be ready. I can do it right now, right here, without any issues, and take care of it from there. Okay, so that's what we take care of when we take care of the SOAP UI. So now I talked a little bit about COTS product, commercially off the shelf products that can take care of functionality. They have a high upfront cost but a low development cost. So the time to develop it, let's say in 6 months it would be ready, but it's going to cost you maybe $10 million to buy the licenses and take care of it from there. If you run and take care of it from scratch, this is going to have probably even higher development cost and very high time, maybe 2 years to develop it. So the amount of time is also high, the development cost is also high. So it totally depends on what you're trying to do and trying to take care of. So everyone clear about the concepts that we went through? I know it was really quick, but that's like healthcare in a nutshell. Very high level. I did not touch up in any details. This by no means is going to make you a healthcare expert, but the keywords that I use will give you pointers in which direction to follow your research in. Okay, so you should try and take the information and come up with ways by which you are going to be able to finalize how are you going to take care of your research associated with it. Any questions, doubts, issues, problems? Alright guys, so Saturday 7 o'clock in the morning we have another class. This would be completely based on Q&A. Whatever doubts you might have, come up and address those doubts and take care of it from there. Someone has a question?
So basically, to close
Alright,
the
thank you very
interview,
much.
this much, I mean, whatever we learned today would be enough, or I don't know.
It is by no means enough, Vasudha. This is like introduction.
Mm.
Okay, I practically went through the index of a book called Healthcare. I did not enter any chapters in detail. The book will have those detailed indexes where health insurance exchange contains blah blah and blah. I did not enter any chapters. So use this as a means to do more research. Okay, look at various healthcare positions, look at what they are looking for, what are the key concepts that they want you to know, and that's what you need to know much better in depth. let's say if they're looking for someone who understands EDI transactions, just saying that hey, EDI transaction is a common platform of exchanging information between the payer and the provider is not enough. You have to know what is EDI transaction. You have to know what are those loops and how is the information presented and how it takes care of it and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Okay, so this by no means is going to make you an expert at
I know
healthcare.
that is what I was
This is
wondering. I mean,
just
how to go through the interview just with, getting a little summary of each and every terminology.
see interview is secondary,
Hmm.
right? First, you're going to make applications to those companies. So when you're making the application, you're looking at the job description. What are they looking for? So your knowledge has to be for every keyword that they mentioned as must-haves. You should have enough information about those keywords to speak fluently about those concepts for at least 5 to 10 minutes and then jump
I
to an
know.
interview. Before that, you're not ready for an interview.
I understand, but just getting the theoretical information wouldn't work when explaining, putting it in the practical way that we did it or whatever. Um, how to integrate,
Of
like it.
course. So the situation is there is no training program that is going to make you ready for the practicality unless you actually work for the application.
Mm,
Does it make sense? Like, I, it is such a vast field, Vasudha. I could take a whole 40 hours just to explain health insurance exchange. It took us 18 months to bring healthcare.gov from scratch to where it was when it got launched in October of 2013, which was still a big disaster,
mm.
right? So it couldn't possibly fit in a specific class. Now, if you are doing a research and you did not find certain aspect clear enough, you can always get back to me, and I will be more than happy to help you. But I couldn't possibly dedicate time on each of those topics. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay.
Right? Awesome. Thank you. Good night, and I shall see you guys on Saturday morning. Thanks. Bye.